Well, I started life in a small country town in northwest WA and moved to Perth to live with my mum for a number of my beginning adult years. And we converted her 2.5 garage into a granny flat of sorts, because before I heard of Sign of Living and SDAs and NDIS, there was no choice, there was no option for someone like me to live independently and freely as an adult should. Before moving to an SDA, I was very, very depressed and not happy with life. I didn't have much of a goal-setting mindset or a drive to do anything for myself. And then when I moved to Perth and I became my own adult, that's where I sort of started. And now that I live in an SDA, it's even better, and my adult life is actually going in the quote-unquote normal way. I started my search for an SDA basically as soon as I got onto the NDIS system, because by that point I was no longer happy living where I was, and I was always a one and done type person, so I only got given a few options to begin with for the SDA options, and Sign of Living was the top, and so I met with Tara and that was it. I started from there. The first obstacle that we came across was the way that the NDIS had written the funding services for getting into an SDA, because they had written the funding it for something that doesn't exist in WA. I had started a business before moving into this SDA, and I have been able to continue and branch out in the things that I do with my business, and I hope now that I'm completely settled in here to offer it to my friends, neighbours and everyone else in the building. I find living in the Sana apartments much safer, more secure, happier. I am so much more relaxed than I ever was in a street level house system. Okay, you're talking about the building itself then.
Well, you can answer whatever you
The biggest surprise and my favourite thing when I moved in was the fact that we have a wine room. That was pretty cool. So having a custom designed kitchen for me specifically has changed the fact that I can actually drive in under the stove itself to safely cook, especially if I'm boiling something, for example. It's just made life so much safer. Having a ceiling hoist has been top notch, and I would thoroughly recommend, if you've gone from a floor hoist, I believe they're called, to the option of a ceiling hoist, do it. The thing that really surprises me about going from living in a house situation to living in an apartment is the safety aspect. The higher the floor, the safer it is. Apart from being on a higher level in the building, the best thing about having an SDA with Sign of Living is the facial recognition door opening system that only recognises your face, or you have a specific code for specific people. I would thoroughly recommend Sana Living to anyone who's looking at getting an SDA. The people behind the scenes, they're all wonderful, they're all great. They're all really good quality people, and they do the best that they absolutely can for you. Since moving into the SDA with Sana Living and the Amara apartments, my life has changed exponentially. I am so much more happy, I am so much more free, I am so much more calm than I used to be, and I really love living here, like genuinely love living here. My favourite thing about living in these apartments was waking up on that first morning and looking out my bedroom window and going, wow, this is now me, this is now my home. I am so much happier.